dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
Behöver du en bil? Mabe hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mabe hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
One final race of the regular season, and it is going to come at one of the biggest wild cards that not just iRacing but the world of racing has to offer. It is the Alcantech Shake and Bake 450 here from Talladega Superspeedway in Talladega, Alabama. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Alongside me, my broadcast partner, Corey Bodnott. Corey, welcome, first of all, to the series. Thank you for coming in on such short notice. You picked one heck of a week to come super speedway racing, last race before the playoffs. It's going to be an intense race here tonight.
Absolutely, Frank. It is exciting to be here today for what should be a pretty good, fun little Talladega Superspeedway style of racing. And I always say, anybody can win. It doesn't matter who you are. I mean, unless your car is absolutely in a million pieces, you still might be able to win.
Absolutely. This is, like we said, it's one of the biggest wild cards on the calendar. And right now, a lot of points are going to be on the line. And as we say that, here are the point standings. Right now, Jesper Eriksson holding a very comfortable lead. Jonas Gunnarsson Linus Broström. That's backwards, actually. Linus Broström in second, Jonas Gunnarsson in third. That is not necessarily who we're going to be looking at, though. It's going to be around the 14, 15, 16, 17 bracket. Jonas Forss is on the inside looking out if he has a bad race. Anton Bratberg is the cut line in 15th, but he only holds a 2-point lead over Henrik Lundberg. He's going to have to keep that 18 very, very close for the duration of this race.
Yes, he has 2 points. Is not a whole lot of wiggle room, especially around the plate track here.
Oh, absolutely not. As we are inching closer and closer towards the qualifying session here, as we're about a minute away from that, and as we had mentioned, the main team that is putting this race on, the sponsor team, is going to be Alcantech, and boy oh boy have they had a very good season. As we take a look at the team standings, the Alcantech NHR team, very, very good, and they have been all season long, by far and away the points leaders in the team standings. Their secondary team, Alcantech by Albatech, third place in points with a very good chance of catching that Forza Esports Academy team to get an Alcantech 1-2 for the end of the regular season in their sponsored race.
Well, there we have it. We have practice wrapping up here.
Absolutely. So we're going to be getting into the qualifying session here, as the timer winding its way down. And Corey, it may not be the most important thing to qualify up towards the front, because if you're fast enough, you can make moves here fairly easily. But still, though, it's where all the trouble is, and it tends to be in the mid-pack. You either want to be well in front of it or well behind it.
Well, not only that, you want to be out front or either at the back here, but qualifying for a pit selection, for pit box, actually. Because that pit box can make a pretty significant difference. If you're middle of the pit road, it's kind of hard to see where your pit box is when you're coming down for a green flag stop.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is something that we are going to be seeing all throughout the night here. About 30 laps on a tank of fuel is what we are expecting to see here tonight. Stage break will be at the end of lap 35, which is quite poignant, seeing as though the driver we're looking at right now is car number 35. That's Robert Eriksson. He is the furthest along, or one of the furthest along on his qualifying effort. But we'll take a look now at the man who is the furthest along on his qualifying effort, about to begin lap number 1. That is Henrik Lundberg, 2 points south of the cutoff line. Now, he would be 2 points in if we were taking the top 16, as most chase formats do. But taking the top 15, he finds himself on the outside looking in coming into tonight.
Yeah, and do they do bonus points here, Frank?
I believe so. I believe for laps led and for pole, I think gets a bonus point. I'm not entirely sure. I can take a look at that right now, though.
Well, that would help matters out if he could somehow get out front and lead a lap, maybe, and if he can set a pole, if that's a bonus point, that would help matters a little bit.
No bonus points for that. However, there are the stage points that he can certainly win. So no bonus points. No bonus points for laps led. No bonus points for pole. As he will set the second fastest time right now. Anton Bratberg, ironically, the driver he's chasing, sets a little bit quicker of a time. 53.75 is currently the time to beat. As Bratberg and Lundberg right now sitting 1 and 2, the 2 drivers on the cutoff line. Split up by Oscar Fredrickson immediately.
Yeah, Oscar with that good little lap there.
50.
About 2 minutes here, see if anybody can knock down Anton.
Andre Solander right now, P8. Very familiar looking car, I would say, in that 140, especially for Talladega. Nice little drink of Perrier. Working his way down the back straightaway. A minute and a half to go here in this qualifying session. Still a lot of drivers yet to qualify. As the points leader at the moment, Jesper Eriksson, working his second lap right now. Again, with the way the point system is working, and I think Eriksson's going to bail out here, so it'll be 21st. He'll most likely he will run the heat of the sprint race coming up after this. Daniel Holmer finishing his lap. As we see Daniel Solo completing his first lap in one of the Alcantech cars, and Solo starting his first lap, pardon me.
Not a whole lot of time here to get a lap in 40 seconds here for him. We'll see if he can crack in a lap time.
Should be close, but he should be good to go. As that's another part of this. That's another part of these races, these big super speedway races, is that guys usually that run towards the front on the ovals or on the short tracks, or especially in this series on the road courses, may not get that one lap speed that you need around a racetrack like Talladega. So some of the big heavy hitters that we see normally each week, we're going to end up seeing them in the sprint race as well here tonight, as Daniel Solo will not be a part of that. Fifth fastest for him as the qualifying session comes to a close. And with that, we will now take to the grid here for the sprint race, as it will be Philip Carlin will be the first of the drivers that did not qualify in the top 20. So he will start on pole here for the sprint race. Vilde Whalen will start on the outside of row number 1. Daniel Holmer and Johan Larsson will make up row number 2. Emily Fegrell and Michael Hagstrom will sit in row number 3. Haflida Johansson and Jesper Eriksson will make up row number 4. Martin Liesnich and Michael Haflidason in row 5. Row 6 will go to Philip Broberg and Connie Lundell. Row 7 we'll see Philip York and Kim Nyholm, Jonas Forss and Robert Erling in row number 8, with row 9 going to Bjorn Brostrom and Marcus Hagstrom. That will be the 18 car field that will make up this sprint race. So with all the 18 cars, once again, not running to see who does not make the race here tonight, just running to see who will qualify, who will start from 21st down to 38th.
Yeah, 18 cars, like you mentioned there. 10 laps to get it done. So maybe a little bit, this is going to be like a little test session for these guys here and ladies.
Absolutely. And one of those ladies that we are going to be keeping an eye on here today is the number 4 of Emily Fegrell. We had spoken a couple of weeks ago how she, I believe it was a broken wrist, if I remember correctly, a couple of weeks ago. She is still in that cast, but she is running in this race here tonight. So good luck to her. I'm sure with how these cars handle on this racetrack, it may not be the easiest, but she's certainly giving it, as we would say here in the States, the old college try.
Well, it probably isn't as bad as it probably would be. This is a road course. So I think she'll do pretty good here.
It was a fractured wrist that she had. Starting in 4th here for this sprint race, so she'll get a couple of extra laps of test work and practice to make sure that wrist is good to go. in race trim conditions at least, as Philip Carlin will lead the way. Emily's teammate Vilda Whalen on the outside of row number 1. What, for this sprint race, knowing that everyone's going to make it to the main race, what are you going to be focusing on, Corey, as we get into this race? What are you going to be trying to do? What are you going to be trying to learn, knowing that there's no risk of going home?
Well, you know what? No risk of going home. The only risk you got is starting at the back of the field. I'd just absolutely send it.
Well, it's certainly one way to do it. We know a couple of guys will try to do that. As, again, we're not used to seeing Jesper Eriksson starting in these sprint races. Same thing with Michael Haflidason. A couple of guys that we are expecting, and we've got a couple of the Talladega Nights cars in here. I believe that is Michael Haflidason in the 81 Wonder Bread machine with Martin Liesnich in the me-sponsored car below him. But as we get set to go here for this sprint race, Philip Carlin and Vilda Whalen take them down. Green flag will be coming out here momentarily. Into the Geico restart zone they go. Green flag is in the air. 10 laps of racing here at Talladega.
And oh my, that inside line was not formed up at all from third row back. That could hurt them a little bit if they don't catch up here, and you do not want to get out front by yourself like we see Philip doing a little bit.
Philip Carlin getting a little bit of a push, now starting to fall back a little bit as Vilda Whalen on that outside with Johan Larsson as well as Jesper Eriksson, Michael Haflidason all pushing on that outside, gets that 29 up towards the front, straight to the bottom line she goes. Larsson coming with her.
Yeah, that inside line is going to probably be the best place to be here for a heat race.
Trying to block off that run of momentum. Here comes the points leader, though, as down below the yellow line goes the 52 of Haflidi Johansson spinning around. Caution is going to come out. It was the 044 of Philip Bjork, I believe, who also got caught up in it. As this started prior to the tri-oval here. It's the 52 down below the yellow line and then just comes up and whack, catches the door of the 4. And then doubled his trouble catching the 044.
And he slightly scraped that inside wall as well.
That's him already gone and off. Let's back it up a little bit more. There he is on that apron. Can't pass down there. Same rules as Daytona would apply. And Philip Bjork, unfortunately, nowhere to go. Fortunately, though, for that 044, it does appear as though he got away rather unscathed from that. As we are under caution for the first time tonight here in the sprint race. Not that bad a first couple of laps, though. As we definitely saw that outside line able to form up, able to stay nice and close. And as you would expect with this car, especially with the aero package on this car, it turned out to be the superior line, at least from what we saw in the opening lap.
Yeah, well, that had a lot of contributing factor to where the inside line did not form up as well as the outside did. Potentially speaking, that is.
So we are under caution for the first time tonight here. Vilda Whalen and Jesper Eriksson will start on the front row here for this sprint race. Again, setting the starting order from 21st on down. it will be at least one more pace lap around here before we get going back to green flag racing. And this is by far and away one of the more difficult places that you could have chosen to run a cutoff race. As we know, Corey, once we get into the main race, anything can happen around a track like this in a race like this.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll see it here when we get to the main event with about 38 drivers out here. I mean, you could go from the back to the front, and then the next moment you're right back at the back again.
We have seen a lot of great runs, including an incredible 4-wide finish in the opening round at Daytona International Speedway in what felt like forever ago. And this is the fun part of running every other week. It seems like it takes so long. That was back on the 1st of September is when this season started. We're already, this is the 13th round of the season, and we're already in the month of March. It's incredible how long this season has taken. And it's still it's been a lot of fun every step of the way, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure it's been fun for these drivers running a cup car, you know. It ain't a native race car to their region of the world.
No, absolutely not. As the first round of the playoffs will kick off in 2 weeks' time. That will be at Las Vegas Motor Speedway and then Richmond. So two very, very different racetracks that these guys are going to have to negotiate through the first round of the playoffs. Only 2 races per round. So only 5 more races to go after this. It'll take us all the way until the 11th of May. Vegas and Richmond will be the first round of the playoffs. Auto Club and Dover will be round number 2. And then we close out the season at the Charlotte the Oval, at Charlotte. We've run the Roval already this year. It'll be the Oval at Charlotte is where we will end this season. That's quite a nice little challenging playoff. You have one round full of 2 racetracks that are completely different to each other before we head to the home of NASCAR for the end of the season.
Yeah, that's a pretty staggering playoff. 5 races there, and at Vegas and Richmond, Auto Club. You say Dover the week before the championship, Charlotte. You couldn't ask for more variety.
Yeah, it is. It has been. We've seen that all season long as well. Very rarely has this series gone to 2 racetracks back to back that have been very, very similar to each other. We got the big super speedway, and then it's a 1.5 miles, then it's a road course, and then a big 2-mile oval at Michigan before going to Martinsville the next week, and then Phoenix. So it's been quite a jump from week to week as far as track style. Instead of running all 1.5 miles or running all short tracks or whatever, it's been a very good mix, and it's made for an incredible season.
I see where they went to Bristol Dirt. I'm sure that was a fun one to run.
I unfortunately was working that day, so I wasn't there. You can ask Tony and Jason how that race turned out. As we're getting set to go back to green flag racing here. We'll have 5 laps to go here in this sprint race. And the sprint race does run to time as well. So if we get another caution, we're going to have to worry about the time limit for this session here. Before we go into the main race, we have had to deal with a time limit ending one race already this season. As Vilda Whalen getting set to lead them down into the restart zone they go. Green flag is back in the air. Vilda Whalen off and running.
I do believe our time limit has expired. It says 8 minutes or 10 laps, whichever comes first. I do believe we're at the 8 minutes, so this could be the last bit.
It very well could be, and it's showing 8.5 minutes here, but it goes by the race leader's time, so this could be, you're right, the final lap is Jesper Eriksson getting a very good push from Michael Haflidason on that outside line. Vilda Whalen, though, not giving up, trying to get under Haflidason, and does. 3 wide now is Daniel Holmer getting a push from Michael Hagstrom on the third lane. Everyone getting wild. Around goes the 61. Stays straight, though. Eriksson out in front. Oh! It was Whalen and Holmer going side by side, and that will be the time limit. Jesper Eriksson takes the sprint race here at Talladega.
Oh my, what a turn of events there in the last corner.
Was quite a final lap, wasn't it?
Well, they about wrecked, and they didn't quite wreck, and then they did wreck.
Vilda Whalen, unfortunately, was the rolling backwards. Get over it. There you go. That's what Talladega's all about. Just finish the race. Very, very good.
And she crosses the line. She does hold on there in 13th. I mean, all things considered.
Not too bad. And again, she'll start in 33rd position, but with how you can move and make up time here at this racetrack, certainly not all that damaging of an issue, as we'll see. Nope, I was going to say we'll see if we can get a replay in quickly, but unfortunately we're not going to be able to. So we will take a look now at the starting grid here for tonight's main race. Anton Bratberg, the driver on the bubble, will start on pole here at Talladega. Oscar Fredriksson will make up row number 1. Alexander Arildsson and Linus Broström in row number 2, with Daniel Solo and Erik Lundberg in row 3. Jonas Skoglund and Jochen Wett in row number 4. Stefan Wong and Marcus Stiller make up row number 5. Anton Ehrman and Peter Helmbro will make up row number 6. Row 7, we'll see Eric Blixt and Andre Solander, Tony Oivonen and Sebastian Broberg in row 8. Last week's winner, Henrik Lindoff, will make his 4th start of the season in that number 8, with Robert Eriksson lining up alongside of him in row number 5. Row number 9. Jonas Gunnarsson and Dennis Scherp in row 10, with Jesper Eriksson and Martin Liesnich making up row 11. Row 12, we'll see Philip Broberg and Michael Haflidason. Row 13 goes to Michael Hagstrom and Philip Carlin. Kim Nyholm and Connie Lundell will make up row 13. Row 14 goes to Johan Larsson and Bjorn Broström. Emily Fegrell and Daniel Holmer in row 16. Row 17 will see Vilda Whalen and Robert Erling, with Jonas Forss and Marcus Hagstrom lining up 35th and 36th. And on the final row of the grid, it will be Philip Bjork and Haflidi Johansson rounding out the 38 cars that will run the race here tonight. Weather conditions here for tonight's race, we are just beyond, we're closing in on 4 o'clock p.m. in sim time. 14K wind, 27 degree ambient temperature, 41 degree track temperature. So while it may not be incredibly hot as far as ambient temperature goes, that track temperature is through the roof. Slick race cars here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't really see too much of a slickness at a plate track, but it's very well possible with how hot it is out here.
Absolutely. As we are getting set to go 105 laps around Talladega. Stage break will come at the end of lap 35. There's a couple of ways that this race could go, Corey. Are you hoping, as a driver, would you be hoping for a calm start, let's just get to the stage break, or are you hoping that we're going to run a little bit crazy?
Well, I would like to see it calm on the first half of the race, or first 90% of the race rather, and then it get wild. But here we go. We're heading down to this Geico restart zone. Anton on the point here.
Getting set to go racing. Green flag in the air. 105 laps here at Talladega. We are off and running.
That was a beautiful start by both rows. And oh my, we got a crash already happening here towards the back end of the field.
Philip Carlin around. No caution just yet. Everyone's one straight and two moving. So we are going to stay green here, but a very, very detrimental start for some of the drivers in the back.
Yeah, and that's going to put them behind the 8 ball here. Losing the main pack draft, luckily for them, they know there is going to be at least a caution in the next 34 laps.
See if they can stay on the lead lap for that long. As looking through the first lap here, it's going to be Oscar Fredriksson out in front with the push of his Forza Esports teammate Linus Broström, the winner of the one and only Superspeedway race earlier on this season. But again, the two cars that we're going to be focusing on a lot of this night, Anton Bratberg in the 111, Erik Lundberg in the 18. That is 15th and 16th in points. Lundberg has just overtaken him now side by side once again. Not just a battle for third, battle for the championship.
Battle for a spot in the championship.
Yes.
Hope.
Fredriksson holding that outside line again with the way this car seems to work. It's that outside line that's what's preferred. Got a little bit more strength in numbers on that outside line. It's a lot tighter, but the inside is able to keep hold and actually now get in front of the high line.
Yeah, Alexander moved up top. Anton came with him here. I'll leave Daniel Solo on the bottom, leading that little group.
Solo getting pushed by Jonas Skoglund right now on that bottom. Stefan Wong there as well in the 85. As Anton Bratberg showing the way on that high line. Alexander Arildsson pushing him in that number 24. Arildsson was very strong back at Daytona at the beginning of the season. Daniel Solo, though, leading that inside line, about a lane in between the two as they head through the tri-oval.
Now, something I got told a couple weeks ago was that apparently the Toyotas are a whole lot better than the Fords and the Chevys at leading the group. I'm not sure how true that is, but right now you do have a Toyota out front.
Yeah, the Toyotas may not have the speed on their own. Now, it's with the way the cars are set up. All of these cars weigh the same 3,400 pounds. They all have the same amount of horsepower, but just the way the cars are set up, they are a little bit different from make to make. So the Fords are a little bit better at pushing. The Chevrolets have the top speed, but the Toyotas, once you get them lined up and once you get them out in front, they are very, very difficult to pass, as a line of Chevys now trying to do that on the outside line.
Still 2x2 all the way in your front pack here.
23 cars up here in the front pack. Michael Haflidason at the very back of this front pack. Forza Esports leading that outside line. Alexander Arildsson, Oscar Fredriksson, Linus Broström. The front three, all for the Forza Esports team on that high line. Followed by the Street Trends, number 18 of Erik Lundberg. So those superior cars, though, starting to line up on that outside line. Marcus Stiller there, as is Anton Ehrman, Robert Eriksson. Allowing Ehrman to get through. So three of those team superior cars now lined up on the high line.
Yeah, and that's going to be key here is to find your teammates and get in line with them.
Seeing a lot of side-by-side racing right now, but not a lot of craziness. So it is that calm start that a lot of these guys, I'm sure, were hoping for at the beginning of this race. We're seeing some line shuffling. We're seeing some moving around on the high line. But other than that, no one trying to do anything crazy, just trying to log laps here early.
Well, and then you got to think about this. If it's 30 laps of fuel here, they're going to maybe have to take a pit stop before they get to the stage break. You got to wonder if there's going to be any kind of strategy.
That, as well as a lot of the guys on the outside line come down. The first four on that high line got clear, and they all came down. So Arildsson, Fredriksson, Broström, and Lundberg, who were leading on the outside line, are now leading on the inside. That leaves Jochen Wet in the 101 in the Bright Esports machine, leading the outside line. That was until Anton Bradberg jumped up to the second lane.
Well, you see Anton's teammates all up on that outside lane, minus about two of them there in between him and the rest. Oh my, look at this, 3 wide.
Anton Ehrman in the 42, shuffling Peter Helmbro in the 77 out. And that might have been a little bit more aggressive move because you saw the teammate of Marcus Stiller in between, with the 77 in between Anton Ehrman. So maybe if the 42 saw that there wasn't a teammate immediately ahead of the 77, maybe he wouldn't have made that move.
Yeah, maybe, but I just think it was a case of, hey, I want to be lined up with my teammate.
Absolutely.
Now, minus one car, all those Team Superior cars are about in a line.
Now, the good news about having all of your teammates in a line is that you have a bunch of guys that know what you're trying to do. You can make a coordinated move. However, if something goes awry, that means a lot of your team is now no longer in the race.
Yeah, if there's a mistake that happens with a teammate or another teammate gets turned around or whatever, chances of everybody else on the team getting involved is very likely.
There are some drivers on that team that are not a part of this top group anymore. Here is one of them. That's Connie Lundell in the 91. Now, he was a part of that slow up at the beginning of the race, in which we did a very good job, I remember, of showing you a replay of that, which we're going to do right now, as a matter of fact. Watch the 61 of Michael Hagstrom. Oh, he's already gone and around. That may have been off the 22 of Philip Carlin. We'll take a look here once again. Get a little bit better a replay for you. Here's, oh, that was one of those silver cars up there in the middle. Couldn't really tell who it was, but everyone was pinching 3 wide. And that did not go well, especially for Philip Carlin. Carlin still in pit road trying to fix that car. But again, that has broken up this group as we're seeing some of the Forza Esports cars that were running up at the front. Oscar Fredriksson, Alexander Arildsson, Linus Broström, Peter Helmbro, Jesper Eriksson, all coming down pit road.
Yeah, so lap 10 here, they elect to come in. Okay, I can understand this little strategy game. They have enough cars that they'll be able to draft with each other.
They took the early stop for sure. As now Alcantech in their sponsored race, now trying to lead the charge on the outside line. That's the 13 of Daniel Solo, Eric Blixt, pushing him in the 95. Andre Solander out there as well. So, oh boy, Alcantech wasn't going to allow this race to go long before, as Solo gets hooked as they try to go down to the bottom line. Caution is out.
Oh my. And
ooh. Tony Oivinen involved as well in the 84. That looked like they were trying to go down to the bottom. Maybe Blix said he wasn't clear, so Solo tried to jump back up to the high line, and it wasn't there anymore. Let's take a look at it here. Maybe just a lot of miscommunication between the drivers on the high line. As there he goes, tries to go down, and then just ends up big time into the 33. In the 13, pardon me. Tony Oivinen gets hit by the 61.
And then the 61 backs up and whack.
Catches
At
the 13.
That point, Daniel's already smoking, so...
Anton Brodberg catches a piece to the door. One of the drivers that we've been watching. Henrik Lundberg also on the outside looking in, 2 points from the cutoff line. He catches some of this as well. Ooh, didn't appear to be too bad until he caught the door of Wong and then into the inside wall. That might end his hopes. Jump on board here with Daniel Solo at a little bit better a spot. Already around there. Got a nice hard hit there from, I believe, the 85. So big one early here at Talladega. And all just miscommunication.
Yeah, just, I guess they thought they were going to go to the bottom and ended up aborting that idea, and around we go. Teammate on teammate action.
And because of that, the Forest team looks quite smart. Taking that pit stop early, the lap later, they would have been right in the middle of that. Now they're free and clear up in the top 4 spots.
Yeah, getting lucky break there with that caution for those 4.
Daniel Solo, Henrik Lundberg, Tony Oivinen, Sebastian Broberg, Michael Hagstrom, Stefan Wong, all still down pit road, trying to repair their cars. Solo's going to be down there for a long while, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, they're going to have to put a whole new motor in that number 13 car.
It's a half-hour minimum, plus the optional repairs to get that car back up to full song. Good news for Solo is he is well within the championship 15, 6th place in points, has a win this year, so he's locked in already, so not a lot to worry about for Daniel Solo. This was go for the win and see you in 2 weeks. So speaking of which, the drivers that are locked in to the playoffs, as it sits right now, Jesper Eriksson with 3 wins, Linus Broström with 2, Michael Haflidason with 2, Eric Blix with 1 win, Solo with 1, Alexander Arildsson with 1, Peter Helmbro with 1 win. Those 7 drivers are locked in via win. Jonas Gunnarsson is locked in by points. Andre Solander, Oscar Fredriksson locked in by points as well. Daniel Holmer locked in by points. Jonas Skoglund in the 83 is close but very likely to make it. Robert Eriksson, Jonas Fors are close. Anton Bratberg involved in that last incident, as well as Henrik Lundberg. Kim Nyholm and Kenneth Tier. Anton Ehrman, Bjorn Broström, those are guys on the outside looking in. Tony Oivinen as well. Kenneth Tier not here for this race in the 49, so he will forego his chance at possibly running for a championship this season.
So a lot of them there with still chances to make it in. About anything can happen here, and we still got points to hand out here for the stage break.
Absolutely. And Anton Bratberg running in 8th place right now, looking a lot better to make it in to the championship 15, especially with Henrik Lundberg down in 31st. So Lundberg, who was going to get stage points, now not so likely. Still has 20 laps to try to make it up. But with nobody taking pit stops here for the rest of the way, it's kind of hard to play the strategy game. As we get set to go back to green flag racing, Alexander Arildsson, Linus Broström, Jesper Eriksson, Peter Helmbro. Your top 4, green flag back in the air, off and running again. 20 laps to go until the end of the stage.
Both lines formed up nicely on the front 2 rows. It looks like the outside lane, though, might be a little bit better off, as they have gapped back to the 5th row there.
5 Team Superior cars all lined up on that outside row, which is probably the cause of that big gap. A lot of cars trying to get up into that preferred outside lane. And again, it's nothing much to do with the track. It's the way this car has worked ever since it got introduced to the iRacing service about 2 years ago. There was a big checkup there in the back with the Team Superior cars. I believe might have been the 35 of Robert Eriksson getting a little close for comfort, forcing that outside line to break up a little bit. But right now, Corey, it's this car doing what this car does, which is be faster on the outside line. Yeah,
it keeps up the RPMs and keeps the momentum up on that outside a whole lot better than it does on the inside. It did pass up a lap car there. It was Daniel Sola. Somehow did not have to wait 30 minutes.
I would have said fast repair taken, but we saw that engine blown in that number 13. Again, not this race not really of consequence to him, as he was already locked in. So he's puttering around now, hoping to make minimum speed.
Well, they don't have a quick fix, so it wouldn't have been a fast repair.
That's, he still has that damage on the nose. That's either a glitch, or he just had the fastest engine change in iRacing history.
Well, I don't think it was completely gone, but I think it was close to gone.
And I think he's about ready to take it the rest of the way, I think. His inside line now starting to form up a little bit. Jonas Skoglund getting a nice little push from Eric Blix. Jonas Gunnarsson there as well. All Alcantech cars on the bottom, minus the Bright Esports by picked last, number 83 out in front. And as we've seen all season long, Corey, it has been Force Esports versus Alcantech. Alcantech has gotten the better of them this year. Force Esports may have the wins over Alcantech, but it's been the team effort and the team results from Alcantech that has gotten them such a commanding lead in the team's championship.
Yeah, and consistency is key for that. In order to win a owner's championship, you got to be out front as a team.
That's exactly what they have done. Just couldn't quite tell who that was coming out of pit road. Might have been Sebastian Broberg in the 53. So this top group now, 18 cars in the top group. Johan Larsson leading the next trio. Dennis Scherp, Connie Lundell in this group as well. Then it's 3 seconds back to this pack. Philip York, Haflidy Johansson, Martin Liesnik on the bottom line. Now the 61 of Michael Hagstrom in this group as well. He's that 4th car on the bottom line. However, he is not for position. He is the 1st car not on the lead lap. As the outside line here starting to get quite a run.
He's the 2nd car not on the lead lap. As that 101 of Eichen saw it, he's the current lucky dog position, but still a long ways to go.
So there's a race in this little race here. As the 101 on the outside line now dumps down to the bottom. So leading the race in this pack and also leading the race for the lucky dog. Now is that 101 of Jochen Wett?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, my. I don't even know what I called him.
That's fine. We had a time of it trying to figure out that name as well. We tried to Google Translate as many of these names as we could before the season started, and even that one didn't make sense to us after we heard it on Google Translate. Is now the strength in numbers starting to form on the inside line up at the front of the field, and wouldn't you know it, the sprint race winner and championship leader Jesper Eriksson finds himself out in front, leading a dominant inside line.
Yeah, that inside line has just formed up so nicely. They're all working together. Pretty smooth. Not a whole lot of wiggly going on.
And we talk about it so much when it comes to super speedway racing, especially with this car. It's not necessarily that you need to be up on the car in order to physically push them, in order to move them forward. It's that air bubble that also gets these guys moving forward, as you see Jonas Skoglund right on the back of Jesper Eriksson, but not quite touching. How much, Corey, does that bubble really push that car in front of you?
Well, it's kind of like, I don't know if you ever did it as a kid, but you take 2 magnets and you have the, whatever they call them, and it's kind of like that. I don't know how to explain it.
Put the two poles opposite of each other. You try to push them together and they stay apart.
Exactly.
So that's kind of the effect that you get here, and it really, really works with these cars, especially with just, I guess, just the way that they're made. And little bump there from Skoglund, another little bump. Now pushing that bubble right on through.
And he's doing magnificent work here on pushing. I mean, he ain't getting too off center on the back bumper there. That's what you need to do.
On the camera that we were just on there with Jesper Eriksson, that camera is off center on the bumper, so he's pushing him straight, just the camera's off center.
We promised.
As this top 4 here have broken away. Eric Blix, or at least have broken free of side-by-side racing. Jonas Gunnarsson running in 4th is free of side-by-side racing. As Alexander Arildsson, even with that preferred outside line, not really making the headway that high line was making before.
No, and that's really all to do with how well everybody in the line is pushing. See, really, the front two are pushing good on the bottom. The front two on the high side are pushing, but then you got a gap in between every car after that.
Seeing a lot of the Talladega Nights themed cars here in this race. Riding on board with one of them, Andre Solander, running Jean Girard's Perrier machine. See a couple of cars ahead. The 81 of Michael Haflidason running the Wonderbread car.
No Fig Newton sticker on the windshield this time around.
That is a noticeable omission. I did notice that. And then looking back in the pack, Martin Liesnich in the 016 running Ricky Bobby's AME car from the end of the movie.
The Cougar.
Yep. One noticeable omission. I'm not seeing an Old Spice car out here, so Cal Naughton Jr. unfortunately didn't make it.
That's unfortunate.
Absolutely is. And what we'll do right now, before we get to the stage break, we will take a break. We'll be right back, and hopefully, while we're on this break, we'll try to find Cal, and we'll let him know that the race has begun. So we'll take a quick break, be right back. You are watching the Alkentech.com Shake and Bake 450 here from Talladega.
Behöver du en bil? Mabe hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mabe hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
Back to live action here, the Alcantech.com Shake and Bake 450 from Talladega Superspeedway. We are 5 laps away from the stage break. Jesper Eriksson out in front, getting pushed by Force Esports teammate Alexander Arildsson. But over the last couple of laps, Corey, that inside line has started to make a charge back up towards the front.
Yeah, that inside line has formed up nicely as well as the outside. They were kind of losing ground on the outside there for a little bit. Now it seems to be the preferred line once again.
Seems almost like any line that 37 is in has been the preferred line. He has been moving whichever line that he has been either in or leading forward all night long, including the sprint race. That 37 of Jesper Eriksson has been very, very strong here tonight.
Yes, he has. As now here comes the charge from Skoglund on the bottom. Gonna lead lap 32 here.
Skoglund did take that lap, so a very good last-second push there by Erik Blixt, and probably part of it is because we are just a couple of laps away from the stage breaks. Guys are starting to push a little bit more, get those stage points.
Yeah, stage points being pretty big key here, especially for guys that are on the cut line.
Oh, Erik Blixt around. Caution is coming out. This one might be the stage break. As Kim Nyholm went around, Erik Blixt. There were a couple of guys that might have just been pushing the pusher.
That might have been the case there. Oh, my. Actually, that might not even be the case here.
We'll take a look and see what happened. As it all evolved around that 95.
You hear that?
He blew up.
Popped. Oh, my. That ain't supposed to happen.
Pushing a little bit too hard, a little bit too long. Maybe we'll jump on board with him here. That's interesting. On board with Blixt. Watch the RPMs on the dash. Yup, he blew it up.
Wow.
And that, of course, with everyone so close behind, causing a chain reaction. Just everybody went around.
Yeah, not something you really want to have happen. Be in the middle of a pack like that. Just car go boom.
Certainly not. Take a look from the air. Watch, you'll see the engine go. There it goes, right there. And it just stacks up that entire inside line. Unfortunately for Kim Nyholm, it shot him out to the outside line. But fortunately, everyone for the most part stayed straight. Just little bits of contact on the fenders, and seems okay. As that looks like that will be the stage break. So Jesper Eriksson wins the sprint race and wins the stage. And he will look to try to become the first driver this season to win the sprint race and the main race. And with that, he will also become the first driver to win the main race, the sprint race, and the stage. But of all the places he could have tried to do that, Talladega is one of the hardest.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, trying to win everything at once here. The only thing he didn't win was the pole, but
yeah, that's about it.
Look past that.
So Jesper Eriksson has had full command of this race after moving his way up through the field. And with this, we'll take another quick break. We'll get our sponsor obligations in here early so we can take you longer through the rest of the race. We'll be right back from Talladega after this.
Behöver du en bil? Mabe hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mabe hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
Green flag about to fly here at Talladega for the Shake and Bake 450 presented by Alcantech.com. Jesper Eriksson, your stage winner, out in front of the field here. Green flag back in the air. We are running, hopefully, all the way to the finish. No more mandatory cautions the rest of the way.
Yeah, no more mandatory cautions, but we could still very well see a couple of wrecks before the end of it. Knock on wood, we don't.
No mandatory cautions, but I'm sure mandatory wrecks will come into effect here tonight as, once again, that Team Superior team, boy, they do an incredible job of finding each other. As look at Henrik Lindoff try to force his way down on the bottom line, and he's going to force a little bit too much as that was Marcus Stiller going around. Caution is out.
That's a way to get rid of your competition.
Philip Carlin in the outside wall once again. There's Marcus Stiller backwards in turn 3. And that was the inside line led by Lindoff was trying to force its way through. And it got to the point where he just said, you know what, I'm going, whether you guys pinch down or not, and just did not yield.
No, did not see the yield sign. Bam.
See, he's down there. Stiller hasn't quite committed to the bottom or the middle either way by this point. 8 just held his line. 13 just went up and filled the hole. The 8 just filled the hole. Ooh, 82 of Robert Earling catching an unlucky break there.
Same with the 57, Johan Larsson.
Very good.
Drill. Very good. Well, you've said
See the 8, he's just moving on that bottom line. He does not deviate from that line. It's a little indecisiveness from the 13, the 013 that causes that. And yep, there's Johan Larsson catching a piece. Robert Erling with nowhere to go. Philip Carlin also involved in that. He was a part of the first big incident at the opening lap that didn't cause a caution. So under caution for the third time tonight, second time for, well, actually it is the third time tonight since we didn't have the stage break. So Jesper Eriksson still out in front. Alexander Arildsson, Peter Helmbro, Linus Broström. And those four pulled the pit strategy that has gotten them this position. They were up in the lead pack during the first bit of racing. Then they all came into pit on lap 10. And wouldn't you know it, lap 11, caution comes out, they don't come into pit, and they're 1, 2, 3, 4.
wonderful how that works.
It's nice when a plan comes together, isn't it?
Indeed.
So again, we've been looking very intently on drivers on the inside looking out as far as playoffs are concerned. Jonas Skoglund, Robert Eriksson, Jonas Forss, Anton Bratberg, Eric Lundberg, Kim Nyholm, Anton Ehrman, Bjorn Broström, Tony Oivinen, those guys with outside chances of making it in. One of those drivers that had an outside chance of making his way in, Tony Oivinen, just got back on the lead lap. You just saw him go by, took his wave around, took his lucky dog, and is now back on the lead lap fighting for position. Bjorn Broström in 26th right now, last car on the lead lap. Kim Nyholm right in front of him as far as position is concerned. Anton Bratberg in 24th, Jonas Forss 23rd. I haven't spoken much about Jonas Forss today. Anton Ehrman up in 16th. Eric Lundberg in 14th after being involved in the first wreck that brought out a caution back on lap 11. Robert Eriksson in 11th. So they are all still in with a shout as we get set to get this race back going as the field starts to double up.
Yeah, and Eric Lundberg, the one that needs 2 points there over the Anton Bratberg. So far at 2 points is pretty well there.
And he's more than gotten it right now as Lundberg in 14th, Bratberg in 25th. So he has more than made up what he needs. So the 18 at the moment is in. However, there's still a long way to go at Talladega. Take the green flag with lap 40 of 105 here at the big Superspeedway.
Racing so far here.
It has been very, very good, and it's been just little tiny mistakes that have caused some incidences, but nothing detrimental to most of the field. We're seeing a couple of guys get knocked around, but other than that, we haven't had like any field-destroying wrecks through the first 40 so far. It's all been little, tiny, contained things. People have just gotten some glancing blows here and there, which I think if you're going to wreck at Talladega, to get a glancing blow, Corey, I think is probably the best way you could do it.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Is they are set here. Jesper leading them down to the Geico restart zone, and here we go.
Green flag back out in the air, lap 40 of 105. Peter Helmbro not wasting any time, and Linus Broström is going to allow his Forza Esports teammate Alexander Arildsson to drop down in line. These Forza Esports cars have been working incredibly well together this race.
Yeah, and that's kind of what their plan should be, is to work with each other all the way up to the last couple laps and then fight it out.
Staying on that inside line, and we've seen a couple of incidents already here tonight in close succession. It's got that feeling like the real world race where everyone said, all right, we've had a couple of incidents here, come close with each other. Let's try to settle it down a little bit here. Let's calm down. Let's just log some laps. Can't finish this race if we're not around at the end.
Yeah, that's pretty much the mentality you got to have here at Talladega. You get a couple of your, like I call them teaser wrecks, you know. It leads up into the big one that might ensue later on. Hopefully not for a lot of these drivers. But, you know, but it is Talladega. It ain't a question of if it will happen. It's a question of when and where and who.
Tell you what, if that outside line can head up to the front, Eric Lundberg is going to be the when it happens, because Lundberg has pushed that 35 of Robert Eriksson all the way up to the front here. We've been riding on board for the last lap or so. He's gotten about 7 different cars pushing this 35, and now for the first time just there, gets on the rear bumper.
Yeah, you got 4 superior cars behind him and 1 superior car in front. All the superiors in a Toyota, he's in a Chevy.
If it helped, it's almost like that superior team pushing him to get that superior car up towards the front. So we'll push him as long as you're helping us. And boy, oh boy, is he helping on that outside lane right now.
All I see is a field of blue and orange on the outside. I can't make out who's who.
This is the 35 of Robert Eriksson in front. Anton Ehrman in the 42 is the next one in line. 48 of Dennis Scherp, the 91 of Connie Lundell, and the 111 of Anton Brotberg at the tail end of the line. And those are the only cars, at least for the moment, those 6 are the only cars on the outside line right now. Everybody else on the bottom. And Lundberg has now pushed Robert Eriksson even and ahead, as far as the time at the line goes, ahead of that bottom line train.
So give it to Team Superior and Lundberg there, working together perfectly to get out to the front. And you know what? You mentioned it, Anton Brotberg at the back of the Superior group here. Him and Eric Lundberg are fighting for chances at a playoff spot.
So it's
yes,
I'm
we got one around in the back here.
Somebody around. Caution is out. Well, while those drivers for Team Superior have had a good day, this one has not, as that was Philip Carlin. He's been involved in about every incident that has been a part of the night so far. And unfortunately for Carlin, none of them have been his fault. So we'll see what happens here through 3 and 4. Bottom line stacks up, runs into the back of the 101, and that might put the nail in the coffin for Carlin tonight.
Yeah, it's a lot more heavier damage than he's had so far. He had to take a tow here. 7 laps down already. Going to go more down.
Philip Carlin. Ooh. Guys catching up to the field, having to check up and fan out a little bit. Unfortunately for Philip Carlin, it has been kind of a season of that. His best finish thus far this year has been 15th, and that was at the opening round at Daytona. No top 5s, no top 10s this year. And came into this race 34th in points. So unfortunately for Carlin, this has not been his year. And his woes continue.
And it does look like he might just be packing it up. Maybe. Yep, he packed it up and said, I'll catch y'all in 2 weeks.
A lot of drivers coming into pit road right now. Top 6 stay out, as well as a couple of guys towards the back. Oscar Fredriksson, who started in second, missing the pit box. It'll be Jesper Eriksson winning the race off of pit road. Michael Haflidason. Jonas Skoglund behind him. Alexander Arildsson and Marcus Hagman. Haven't spoken much about that number 12 of Hagman. He is running for a race win here tonight. Nothing much else. Has missed quite a number of races this year. Has that number 12. Best finish of the year, 3rd at the Nashville Superspeedway. Led 45 of the 186 laps at Nashville. Looked well on his way to possibly winning that race if the tire strategy would have played out a little bit better. See Jesper Eriksson jump way up to that outside as 57 of Johan Larsson having a bit of an issue as far as connection goes. It's always a fun thing to see, especially around a super speedway. Is the car in front of you or behind you blinking?
Yeah, not something you like to look out and see.
It's a very nerve-wracking feeling. As you had mentioned before, Corey, that the Toyotas, once they get up together, are very, very hard to pass on a super speedway. And right now, minus the Chevrolet of Erik Lundberg, Toyota makes up 5 of the top 6 spots.
Oh my, if you're Erik Lundberg, you might be a sitting duck here. Unless Superior knows the situation with their teammate Bradberg.
Oh, I'm sure they're well aware.
Oh, Eric, you're a sitting duck.
This was a very conditional relationship that Lundberg had with these Team Superior cars already. Just found himself in the right spot to get pushed up to the front to begin with. And knowing that Anton Bradberg, who's going to be 2 cars behind the 18 on this restart, needs to stay ahead of him. Yeah, like I said, that the condition on this relationship has run out, unfortunately, between Lundberg and Team Superior.
His best hope is, while they're trying to form up a line here, he needs to find a hole and get in it. Break up that team.
He's got a couple of really fast cars. If he were to get hung out by that Team Superior group, he's got a couple of very, very fast cars that are waiting in the wings behind him. Michael Haflidason, Alexander Arildsson, Jonas Gunnarsson, Linus Brostrom. Guys that have been in the front all night long are behind the 48 and the 111 if, and most likely when, they decide to bail out on the poor 18.
I'd say that moment might come quicker than he thinks will happen.
Well, he most likely knows it'll happen, but like I said, he won't be hurting for help, for quality help behind him. As Eriksson getting set to lead the field down into the restart zone. And Eriksson is another guy who is on the bubble. He is on the inside looking out. He's got about 20 points of clearance, does Robert Eriksson. So he is in a very good spot as we sit. Green flag coming out. Lap 48 of 105 here from Talladega. Green flag back in the air.
Look at that. Front two rows, they're not formed up as good as they probably should have been. See the superior cars, you get four of them lined up. You still have the one on the outside there. That's Anton Bratberg.
And look at Connie Lundell push that line back to allow the 111 to duck in line.
It's all right. Lundberg has the cavalry behind him. And never mind that. Out the window. Hold on. Oh, no. Lundberg is in trouble.
You get the cavalry behind him, and he's going to wave at them as they go by. As
He's going to make contact.
Jesper Eriksson leading that outside line. Marcus Hagman out there as well as Lundberg continues to fall through the middle. He's been the only Street Trends car out on this racetrack for a vast majority of this season. And unfortunately, at a racetrack like this where you need teammates, he doesn't have them to help. What about four wide? Boy, oh boy. Get in line behind the 016, bud. Get in line. Jonas is closing that gap up. Might want to take it. He's not going to take it.
Well, he feels he can hold it better on the outside lane here, and he does get in behind the 117 car.
Finally does get up in line, but the blue and orange army, Team Superior out in front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all on the bottom lane, all in Toyotas, and now it is going to be a Team Force Esports conga line on the outside. Force has 7 cars on the high line lined up.
So it's the Force versus Superior here in Talladega. Oh my.
Of 9 cars on the outside line, Force Esports makes up 8 of them. And they still, to go to your point, Corey, those Toyotas are very, very hard to pass when they get lined up. Force Esports has not made a dent on that outside line, and around he goes. Around goes Eriksson. Keeps it straight, though. Caution's going to come out, and now he's going to go all the way around.
Wow, are you kidding me?
Eric Lundberg catching a piece of it as well. Jonas Forss in the 78. Connie Lundell also caught some of it in the 91, but he looks fine. That right there should have been a huge eye-opener for the rest of this field. Force Esports has been the dominant force tonight. whether on the outside line or the inside line, but they could not make a dent against Team Superior once they got lined up on the bottom.
Yeah, once those Superior cars found themselves out front here, they've worked so good already. Now they're out front controlling this whole entire thing. It is going to be, I think it was tough there. It's just going to keep being tough for them. So we see here.
Jesper
Maybe a
Eriksson.
little side.
Yeah, Lundell pushed up a little bit, trying to side draft the 37 and pushed up a little bit too high.
That's 112 getting involved there. That's Oscar Fredriksson.
See, as Fredriksson and Lundberg got caught up in the secondary portion of this wreck, as there's Fredriksson getting hit by the 37 and going down into the 18. Johan Larsson has jumped to pit road, and now, unlike the last pit stop, Team Superior will come in their entirety under this caution.
Just a little bit variety of strategy here. This should make it a one-stop race from here on out. This will take that Superior team all the way up to at least lap 82. And then they can make it to the end from there.
It's caution number 5 of the night here in this race. Going back to Daytona, we had 10, and that was for 125 laps. But after the first half of the race, if I remember correctly, after the first half of the race, we had a couple of very long green flag runs there at the end. Linus Broström winning that. The top 4 cars in that race finished within 1/100th of each other, and the top 6 finished within a 10th. 4 wide finish back at Daytona earlier this year. One of the more memorable finishes we've called here on SRM for sure.
4 wide. Think we can top a 4 wide here at Talladega with a 6 wide?
Yeah, track's certainly wide enough for it. And with the start finish line where it is, there's a heck of a lot more room than there was at Daytona.
I mean, 4 here and 4 at Daytona are 2 different 4s.
Absolutely. As we now have, once again, we have a Forza Esports 1, 2, 3, 4. However, it is made up of almost a completely different cast of characters. Actually, I take that back. Forza makes up 3 of the top 4. Marcus Hagman, your current leader. Alexander Arildsson, Peter Helmbro are the Forza 4, or the Forza 3 in the top 4, I should say. A lot of 4s going on, and a lot of, boy, if you had to close caption this, I'm sorry. The 4's 4 in turn 4 for the 4th time.
Oh,
try that on your closed captioning. It's Michael Haflidason breaking up the Forza Esports 1, 2, 3, 4 with a bunch of Alcantech cars behind him. And again, thank you very much to Alcantech for sponsoring tonight's race. Second time this season that they've sponsored a race. First time was Sonoma back for round number 3 of the season. And it was an Alcantech car coming away with the win. It was Michael Haflidason, who currently sits in 3rd, who took the win back at Sonoma in round number 3, and that was his win that clinched him a spot in the playoffs, which will begin in 2 weeks' time at Las Vegas.
Yeah, and he's in that Audi.
That Ford Mustang Audi.
Oh my.
It was very nice a couple of weeks ago at Pocono, where the guys had the Alcantech team all had throwback schemes, tribute schemes to old British touring car racers, and they looked so good last week, the last time out 2 weeks ago. Hard to tell them apart, but they all looked very, very good. As we are closing in on restarting this race with 56 laps to go. Be working lap 55 of 105 here from Talladega. Marcus Hagman out in front for the first time. Green flag coming out here momentarily. As they enter the restart zone, they're off and running. Green flag back out.
So good formation on the outside lane. We'll see if they drop down or if he drops up. He pulls up.
Pulls up to help them come down. Oh, no, they're staying up in that middle lane. Again, makes sense. That middle lane does tend to be the predominant lane here. Now pulling down a little bit. Ford's got what they wanted. They got those three cars running line astern. Michael Haflidason falling in behind Jonas Skoglund, actually, for Bright Esports. And speaking of Bright Esports, there doesn't appear to be a lot of conflict in the mind of Linus Broström. Linus Broström announced back at the race at the Charlotte Roval earlier on this season that he will be leaving the team that he helped start 3.5 years ago, Forza Esports, and will be on his way to Bright Esports for next season. And he has shown, at least today, that when he said next season, he means next season, because he has had a Forza Esports car in front or behind him for a vast majority of this race. He has been a team player, no conflict of interest really for Linus Broström thus far here tonight.
That's what you like to see. Even though you're changing out teams for an upcoming season, you know, you're still teammates with who you currently have.
And it becomes that tricky little point of, I want to put myself in the good graces of my new teammates. However, I don't want to leave my current ones out to dry. And he's certainly picked, we'll save the good graces for next season. As this is now, we've gotten to the point of the race that we expected that we would get to for quite a while. Everybody now down on the bottom line. We are officially in clicking off laps mode here at Talladega.
Yeah, everybody single file all the way back through the field.
And right now, fortunately for Hagman, as far as his laps led counter this season, that finds himself out in front of this group. And it looks as though he will stay that way up until the time they come down to pit, which for this group, if you go the full 30 laps, would be around lap 75. However, we have had a couple of cautions in between lap 45 when they came into pit, so it could be closer to lap 80 when these guys come in, which puts them in a very interesting category, because if this race does go green the rest of the way, Corey, wouldn't you know it, we can't make it on one more stop from here.
No. 105 minus 80 is 25 laps. If they can get to 80, they'll be good. So one more stop for this entire field at least.
I was thinking lap 115, so that's my bad. I'm great at math. It was my favorite subject, can you tell?
Okay, I had to pull out a calculator.
No, you were... Okay. Broadcasters are broken. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching the Shake and Bake 450 from Talladega.
Behöver du en bil? Mabe hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mabe hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
Back here at Talladega Superspeedway for the Alcantech.com Shake and Bake 450, the final race before we get into the playoffs. And for those of you who have been watching, not just on YouTube, but on Twitch as well, you've just witnessed a first here on Sim Racing Media. I have done hundreds of races for this channel. I'm sure I'm nearing 1,000 over the last 3 years. And Corey, that was the first time anyone has broken me to the point where I needed to go to break to compose myself again. Congratulations. God, that was funny.
Oh my, yeah. I don't even really remember half of what I said.
just the delivery of it was perfect. But anyway, we'll get back to it. We've got, like I said, we're in single file racing mode right now. We are fully in the parade right now is what we have, and we have a 12-car pack up here at the front of this field. Marcus Hagman, Alexander Arildsson, and Peter Helmbro. Your top three for Forza Esports: Jonas Skoglund and Michael Haflidason. Your current top five: Jonas Fors, who needs a good result here. He's on the inside looking out, I believe, if I remember correctly. Let me take a look back just to make sure. Jonas Fors is on the inside looking out for the playoffs. He is running in 12th at the back end of this group. Look 2 seconds back, and there is a very dangerous sight. That is 4 Team Superior cars led by Anton Ehrmann in the number 42, starting to catch back up to this lead group. Anton Ehrmann needs a good race in order to make it in. Dennis Scherp is out. Anton Brotberg is the bubble car. Connie Lundell is out. Tony Oivinen needs a good result. He was several laps down after an incident earlier on tonight, running in 17th. He's finally gotten back on the lead lap. At the back of this group is another story completely unrelated. Emily Fegrell, we had mentioned earlier that she had missed the race 2 weeks ago at Pocono with a fractured wrist. She still has that cast on, running in 20th position, so a very good run for the 4 of Emily Fegrell. And now 8 seconds adrift of her, down in 21st, is Jesper Eriksson, the sprint race winner. The stage winner, running in 21st position, some 13 seconds off the race lead. A little bit of contact there between Philip Bjork and Eric Lundberg in the 18. And Lundberg, Corey, is in a very tricky spot because he needs to get back up there towards Brotberg if he wants to make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, not only that, you got Robert Eriksson right there behind him as well. Came into the race 15 points to the good. Being back here in 25th, I mean,
it's not helping him much.
Not helping.
We do have a number of retirements to update you on. We had 38 drivers. 8 of them are no longer participating in the race. Johan Larsson done with connection issues. Ooh, a lot of moving and wiggling here in this group. My goodness. As Lundberg getting shuffled out once again. Going back to the DNFs, Johan Larsson with connection issues. He is done for the night. Philip Carlin, Eric Blixt, Vilda Whalen, Michael Hagstrom, Sebastian Broberg, Daniel Solo, and Stefan Wong are the 8 retirees here tonight. Thus far, Eric Blixt has a chance at getting back. He blew his engine. He's been on pit road, though, for about 45 minutes now. So the odds of him coming back, I think, are fairly slim. He is locked into the playoffs based on a win that he had earlier this season at Atlanta, so he is all good to go.
Same story there with Daniel Sola. He's on pit road for about 49 minutes here.
And again, Daniel Solo with a win earlier this season at Michigan. So he was good to go to the end of to the playoffs. As Marcus Hagman running out in front, and as we had mentioned, this is the calm before the storm now. We've had a lot of incidents here early, but now the field has single filed out. We're just logging laps here at Talladega, getting closer and closer to pit stops, which are going to be coming within the next 10 laps.
Yeah, somewhere within at least 5 to 10 laps here, we should start seeing cars make their way on down. If they can't get to 80 here, 75 is still doable on the fuel mileage. It's just if we get to that point and there's a green-white-checkered, well, you might be in a world of hurt.
We got 3 attempts at a green-white-checkered here tonight. So you want to try to get as close to 80 as you can. 70 is good enough to make the distance. However, 80 is good enough to get you to the distance plus 1 green-white-checkered if needed. There's, again, not a lot of moving around here, and I think this second group here is content, I believe, to just kind of stay about 2 seconds off of the top group, because that's where they've been hovering for the better part of the last 5 or 6 laps now. Anton Ehrmann leading this group. Dennis Scherp, Anton Brodberg, Connie Lundell. The 4 Team Superior cars. Tony Oivonen in this group as well, as is Martin Liesnich in the 16. And around goes the 111 of Anton Brodberg. Off the racing line, no caution. That was not in the Team Superior plan.
No, that definitely wasn't in the itinerary there.
Take a look and see what happened there. Is seemed pretty clear. Anton Brodberg getting up out of line on the backstretch. Here we go, going into turn 1. There's Brodberg. Lundell a little bit behind. Starting to catch back up to the group. Scherp out of line. Lundell goes down low to avoid running into the back of the 111. Instead runs into the corner panel.
Yeah, an unfortunate break there for Brodberg, who is in that points battle with Lundberg here.
And wouldn't you know, who's out in front of the group that Brodberg just found himself in? Eric Lundberg leading the group. So now the race is on. 2 points separated Lundberg from being out and Brodberg from being in. When this race began, they're right back with each other again. It's amazing how races sort of turn that way.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You always seem to find yourself next to the person you need to be near. Through their fault or yours.
In Anton's case, he doesn't really want to be near the...
No, absolutely not.
Ahead.
See, in the race that I always point to, go back to, I believe it was 2012 or 2013. It was the Phoenix race, the race at Phoenix, when Jeff Gordon took out Clint Boyer. The very next week at Homestead, they were 1-2 the entire race. Gordon coming out on top for his one and only win at Homestead Miami Speedway. Back up front, this pack has split up. What was a pack of 12 is now a pack of 6. As I believe a couple of guys coming into pit, that has broken Jonas Gunnarsson, Daniel Holmer, and Philip Broberg off of this group. Linus Broström and Jonas Fors, as well as Henrik Lindoff, have fallen into the clutches of what used to be the second group, which is now the third pack.
So close to pit stop action here. That separation can either be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. The good part is with 6 cars, that's about the ideal formation you want if everybody works together good. And when you're coming in, you just don't have all that traffic to worry about. And should theoretically be smooth sailing into the break.
Team Superior cars jumping up to the outside line. Jonas Fors trying to lead that group, trying to take the momentum away. Unfortunately, couldn't get up there in time. So Linus Broström will give the push, as Anton Ehrman and Dennis Scherp continue to march their way forward. Kim Nyholm now separating two of the Team Superior cars from each other. That's Dennis Scherp in the 48, the second Superior car. Connie Lundell in third.
Oh, and we got a car around.
Towards the back of the field, we're staying green.
Okay, iRacing, and he's backwards on the track.
Henrik Lindoff went around backwards. He was in that third group, and Lindoff, see what happened here with the 8. Oh, got hit by Tony Oivonen in the 84.
And he's backwards for a good couple of seconds here. Drives backwards on the track, and no yellow.
The only thing I could probably say to explain that would be the fact that the next pack was so far away that he had time, that iRacing determined he had time to get it off the racetrack. That's the only explanation that I could possibly give as to why a caution didn't come out there.
That or Barney just wasn't looking out towards the current.
just the same way we weren't. Well, I wasn't at least. Still the same group of 4 out in front here. Gunnarsson, Holmer, and Broberg starting to drop off a little bit. Still, though, running away from this group here, led by Anton Bradberg and Dennis Scherp, who again just had a car spin in their group. Cars coming down pit road. Jesper Eriksson down pit road. Oscar Fredriksson down pit road, making their pit stops. Round lap 79. Here come the leaders. Hagman, Arildsson, Helmbro, the entire front group in. Arildsson locking it up, almost spinning, going on to pit entry. Second group coming in as well. It's the third group led by Anton Ehrman that stays out.
Oh, and Daniel Holmer there with messed up entry. He somehow made it, but he almost did. He about hit a wall.
At the 83 of Jonas Skoglund moving around on pit road. He got too close to the pit wall, had to move out before his car could be serviced. He's going to lose this pack now. Alexander Arildsson is going to win the race off of pit road. That leaves Anton Ehrman up at the front.
We did hit a couple of black flags here with the 044 of Philip Bajork and the 117 of Philip Broberg. So those two getting nailed with speeding.
Kim Nyholm gets left out. Nyholm was a part of that lead group, came in by himself.
Not something you want to have happen to you coming in by yourself. You need some help out there. And then he gets a little loose coming out of his box.
Emily Fegrell on the bottom getting lapped. However, she will be unlapping herself, I'm sure, momentarily. So those Team Superior Toyotas staying out. It's the other two in the group, Jonas Fors and Linus Broström, that come down pit road, as well as the 117 of Philip Broberg. Oh, and Jonas Fors completely blows his box. Hits the pit wall.
Oh my.
Has to back up into the box. Doesn't lose nearly as much time as he could have. Top 5 cars have not yet come into pit, and wouldn't you know it, they're all Toyotas. They are all Team Superior.
Yeah, you're not seeing double. You're seeing triple.
Anton Ehrmann, Dennis Scherp, Connie Lundell, Robert Eriksson, and Anton Brotberg have all not come down pit road. All 5 of those drivers came into pit on lap 52. However, unfortunately for these two, they're about 18 and a half seconds off the race leaders.
Well, you got to imagine they're all at least going to come in on the same lap, if not a lap prior or before, maybe try to see if they can't play a game to where they form up by the end of pit stop. Not sure how that can work, but
you could probably play it to where these top 3 of Ehrmann, Scherp, and Lundell come down pit road and take 4 tires and fuel. Meanwhile, Eriksson and Brotberg only take fuel. You could probably manipulate it that way. As Emily Fegrell latching on to this trio. Alexander Arildsson is your effective race leader, running in 6th position right now, 37 seconds off of the race lead, and about 17 seconds off of the pair of Eriksson and Brotberg.
So once everything cycles out here, you'll see the 24 click over to the lead.
This group right here, that is Robert Erling peeling off, going to pit road. He is not on the lead lap in the 82. Right now, the second highest running Alcantech car, well, make it the highest running Alcantech car, or trying to be at least, is Andre Solander. He is the highest running Alcantech car, as here come the 3 Team Superior cars from the race lead down pit road. Ehrmann, Scherp, and Lundell, so that will hand the lead over to Robert Eriksson here momentarily.
That may not happen, actually.
Nope, they're coming down pit road. Eriksson and Brotberg in as well.
Now the question is, do they kind of lay off and wait on their teammates here?
They've certainly gotten passed up. So now Alexander Arildsson officially holds the race lead. Andre Solander running in the 4th position right now. The highest running of the Team Alcantech cars, who have not been nearly as dominant here tonight as they have been over the course of the season, but they've been around here tonight. Once again, thank you very much to Alcantech for sponsoring tonight's race. They've done a fantastic job this entire season, sponsoring multiple races, have been a key fixture up at the front of these races here this season. Right now, Andre Solander flying the flag for the Alcantech team. With 20 laps to go, a couple of their cars, Andre Solander, Michael Haflidason, Jonas Gunnarsson, in prime position to possibly win this race here tonight. And if there is any driver right now that has a good chance at winning this race for this team, it would be the man we're on board with right now, Michael Haflidason. In the 2 previous races where he has held the race sponsor on the car, whether it be the Alcantech team or whether it be his normal primary sponsor, AMRT, he has won both of those races. Winner back at Sonoma earlier on this season. And then the AMRT winter break race the night before Thanksgiving. Or Thanksgiving Day, I should say, at Homestead.
So far he's undefeated in the races he's sponsored.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Running in 6th with a very good chance at winning this race tonight.
as we're on lap 87, coming to 88 here. Closing in on the end of this race, but it's Talladega. 20 laps around here feels like a eternity for a lot of drivers.
It is a very, very long time to get around. As Bjorn Broström trying to latch on to the back of this group, and it is crucial for him to do so, and he has. As the driver right in front of him, Haflidy Johansson in the 52, also one of the co-owners of AMRT, part of the AM Racing team, Swedish sim rig manufacturers. Be giving out a sim rig, an AMRT sim rig, to the champion of this series this season. So there is something tangible to race for. Right now currently occupies the lucky dog spot in 23rd. So Bjorn Broström has his target right in front of him to get back on the lead lap.
So a race within a race there.
Seen that quite a bit, and boy, have we had some great racing to call here tonight, and not just tonight, but this entire season as well. As right now we will take one final break to get us ready to go here for the final 16 laps here at Talladega. Hopefully we stay green the rest of the way. Alexander Arildsson out in front, his group with an 8-second advantage over the next pack behind them.
Behöver du en bil? Mabe hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mabe hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
13 laps to go here at the Talladega Superspeedway in Talladega, Alabama. The Alcantech.com Shake and Bake 450. Here from Talladega, Alexander Arildsson currently holds the lead of this race. Peter Helmbro and Marcus Hagman sitting behind him in what is a 7-car pack up here for the race win. Leader of the second pack, you have to find him about 6 seconds behind Tony Oivonen, Jonas Skoglund, Martin Liesnik, and Linus Broström. In this group, a further 7.5 seconds, you'll find Connie Lundell running in 12th position with Anton Ehrman in front of him. Kim Nyholm, Robert Eriksson, and Anton Brodberg, leading this next group with Dennis Sherpa for a further 14 seconds behind Lundell, Ehrman, and Nyholm. So this group is split up. And Corey, as we were talking about during the break, it's looking like with where everybody is positioned on track right now, where you were coming into the points, whether you were in or out, that appears to be where you are now.
Yeah, just about, depending on who all grabbed stage points relative to where they are running right now. But natural points, about everyone is where they were coming in. Oh my, they got real dicey at the back there.
As long as it's at the back, here's the second group right now as Connie Lundell getting past Philip Bjork in the 044 and Bjorn Broström in the 41. Haflidy Johansson right now in the 52 is still at the very back of this lead group. He would get the lucky dog if a caution were to come out here in the final 9.5 laps. 3 attempts at a green-white-checkered finish is what these guys will have tonight.
Right now, there isn't too many risk of being in a wreck. Maybe if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in this back group.
This Brodberg Eriksson group here with Lundberg in here as well. And again, Eric Lundberg, we've talked about it all night long. That 18 needs to finish at least 3 spots ahead of the 111 in order to make it into the playoffs. So this is a crucial battle here for the 18 and for the 111. The last car on the outside line and the second car on the bottom. And they're side by side with each other now. Or just about.
They might as well be side by side right there.
Oh!
And oh my!
That was Jonas Forss getting clipped by Emily Fegrell. Kept it straight though, 4 wide. Jonas Forss keeps it in. He's going to stay in the group. He's going to go from the front of it to the back of it though.
So right now that puts Lundberg just 3 cars out. Oh my!
Emily Fegrell clips the inside wall. She'll keep it straight. No caution. She's now out of the group. And again, what a run that Emily Fegrell has had. And you have to think, at least for the moment, depending on what type of sim rig she's running, what type of wheels she's using, did that jar her wrist at all? She's still in a cast, remember, from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, hopefully she's all right after that hit.
Right now, Eric Lundberg finds himself in a position that he absolutely needs to be in. He's a couple spots ahead of Anton Brodberg to try to get into the playoffs. And now Brodberg saw that and said, "Nuh-uh, Robert, we're moving forward." Now has gotten back by the 18.
So a race here for the playoff spot. And it is heated up. And you got to wonder if they get to the white flag here, is Team Superior going to let Anton be the front superior of the 3? On the off chance that he needs that point?
He's protected in the middle right now. And Brodberg's going to jump up to the outside. Eriksson is going to jump up there with him, as is Dennis Scherp is going to go up to the outside line. Jesper Eriksson goes down to the bottom. That's going to leave Lundberg completely hung out to dry now. Boy,
there goes all that help.
What did Erik Lundberg do? That's about the 4th or 5th time that's happened to him. He's in danger of losing this pack. And if that happens, he's done.
If he loses this little bit of draft here, his chances, unless there is a miracle caution,
He's reeling it back, so he's fine. Sure, it was a tense moment, though, for the 18. And he knows that he can't hang around behind those team superior cars. He has to get ahead of them.
He's got to get ahead of at least Anton, and then he has to be another 2 cars ahead.
Meanwhile, contact between the 18 and the 111. The 35 shows his displeasure, pushes him back up the racetrack, and once again, Lundberg is left out. Up at the front, we have had a change. Andre Solander, a part of the Alcantech team, getting pushed by his Alcantech teammate Michael Haflidason, and Daniel Holmer for Bright Esports have pushed past the Force Esports trio of Arildsson, Helmbro, and Hagman. 1, 2, and 3 have switched. 4 to go at the line.
So the race is on for the lead here at the same time as the battle for the championship spot. Oh my, can't keep up with both.
And Lundberg still hung out to dry on that outside line. 3 Force Esports cars, 3 Team Superior cars, 1 Street Trends car, and right now that one is having a very difficult time. Oh, Brodberg, they make contact. Brodberg trying to keep that 18 behind him, knows how important it is.
Maybe playing a little dirty there. And
if I were the 18, I'd be screaming dirty pool right there. 3 laps to go. Everything's still calm up here at the front. We have been green flag racing since about lap 56.
Here we go. We got to move. Alexander to the outside. Going to get blocked.
Boy, Haflidason is going to lose his position in the bottom line, but he's going to completely kill that outside line's momentum as Haflidason still pushing Hagman up. And fortunately for Haflidason, his Alcantech teammate of Gunnarsson, there to pick him up.
And that was about as close as you could get without actually shoving the guy in the outside wall.
Haflidason really put the pressure on as Arildsson dips down to that bottom line, trying to pick up a little bit of draft from Jonas Gunnarsson. Now he'll dip down in that inside line completely. 3 Alcantech cars, 3 Force Esports cars, 1 Bright Esports car in this top 7.
Please stay green. A couple more corners will be getting to the white flag. They got to go almost to turn 1 for that start-finish line to see the white flag. Once that white comes out, they can kill each other.
Force Esports on the outside line. Alcantech on the bottom. Arildsson noses out in front as the white flag comes out. 1 more lap to go here from Talladega.
This thing's official, and no matter what happens, they can kill each other. And oh my, 3 wide.
Arildsson gets hung out by his 2 teammates, Helmbro and Hagman. Andre Solander now out in front. Daniel Holmer, that is not a friendly behind him, almost gets shuffled out. Now Gunnarsson to the middle with Haflidason. Gunnarsson getting a push. Gunnarsson gets the push down the back straightaway. Michael Haflidason pushing him right on through. It's going to be a 2-car battle. Here comes Haflidason down to the bottom. Halfledason side by side with Jonas Gunnarsson. It's going to be a drag race between the 81 and the 33. Right now it's Gunnarsson out in front. Look at the run that Marcus Hagman is going to get. It's going to be the 12 of Marcus Hagman taking the win.
Are you kidding? And then not to mention, look at the back here. We got a battle still going on between Lundberg and Anton.
Lundberg has gotten ahead of Brodberg. He's going to need a couple of cars between them. Boy, Oscar Fredriksson jumping up to that outside line. Lundberg trying to push Brodberg. Boy, they're coming up 4 wide. Brodberg and Lundberg are going to go door to door, side by side, 4 wide. Unfortunately, though, for Eric Lundberg, what a way to finish. But it's not going to be enough to get him into the playoffs. Everyone who was coming in is still in. The top 15 in points coming into tonight will race for the championship starting at Vegas in 2 weeks.
Oh my, 2 wild finishes for 2 completely different scenarios.
Incredible run from Marcus Hagman. We thought it was going to be between the 2 Alcantech cars for the win, Gunnarsson and Halfledason. But what a push that Alexander Arildsson gave Marcus Hagman to take his first win of the season, his second podium of the year. First since Nashville. What a race.
And that is what we like to see up here is drivers going at it like that.
Incredible, incredible finish. And right now we will take it to our race winner, Marcus Hagman. Marcus, boy, it looked like coming through 3 and 4 that you guys were going to be out of it. What a push your teammate gave you.
Yeah, I'm so thankful for Alex there. Just a little too bad that we didn't get Peter with us. But 1, 2, 4 is a really good team effort.
Yeah, absolutely. What a way to finish out this race on such a long green flag run. It looked pretty calm as far as just running, just trying to log laps all the way through until the end. How difficult was it out there to keep that car in one piece the rest of the way?
It was really not that hard. And everybody was calm until it was like 6 laps to go. So the long green flag run was really, really good. And it shows the potential of this league. So, yeah, and never count out Force Esport.
No, absolutely not. We saw this Force Esports team very, very quick, no matter where they were in the group. We go into Las Vegas Motor Speedway next week. Playoff racing begins. Unfortunately, you're not going to be a part of it. But
no, unfortunately not. I don't have enough starts, but I will be racing anyway. So,
what are your thoughts going into Vegas?
Well, hopefully we can put as many as my teammates up there as possible. I'm basically only in it now to help my teammates because I have nothing else to fight for really. So we're hoping for a win there, and we'll see if it happens.
All right, bud. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate a win?
Yeah, of course, man. I want to thank Mobby Rental Cars and Kappa Bar, the sponsors that are with us, and all the team for a really good help. I mean, I didn't get any practice. I started from second to last and went to first, and I could not make that without the team cheering me on and making a really good strategy. So cheers to all Force Esport team. That was a hell of a job. Yeah.
All right, Marcus Hagman, your race winner here tonight. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, and with that, we'll now jump into the man who gave him the heck of a push, Alexander Arildsson. Alex, you were leading there for a long time at the end, but unfortunately, Talladega became, and you went from being out in front to giving your winner one heck of a push.
Yeah, I lost the leader, got dumped out into the middle there and dropped back. But in the end, that worked out quite well for the team, with me getting a big run towards the finish line there, and was able to push Peter and Marcus there towards the line, and then Marcus to the win.
What was the secret for you guys? Because we saw no matter where throughout the field that the Forza Esports cars always seem to find each other, always seem to be running around each other. What was the secret tonight for you guys to be able to run as closely together as you had all race long?
I mean, the plan from the beginning of the race was for those of us locked into the playoffs already to try to stay up front to avoid any wrecks, which is why we pitted quite early on the green on lap 10, and then the yellow flag came out on, I think, the same lap or the lap after, which worked out well for us with us cycling up to the front. And then we managed to stay up front for the rest of the race. Unfortunately, though, we lost Jesper in a wreck there. He was taken out by, I believe, a superior car, which was unfortunate. And then we also lost Linus. He lost the draft when he tried to help out Jonas and the other guys there in the second pack. But those of us who remained up front, we worked well together and were able to execute and finish off the race.
All right. Your win back on November 10th at Phoenix guaranteed you a spot in the playoffs. You're coming in with a lot of momentum going into Las Vegas next week. What are your thoughts going into the playoffs as we get running for the championship now?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the final standings, whether I managed to pass Daniel Sola and Eric Blix. Hopefully I did, which would give me a few more playoff points, which can be important coming into the playoffs there. They went out this race early with a blown engine and something else, so that's good for me. Well, I'm looking forward to the playoffs. Vegas should be a decent track for me, and I have high hopes for Richmond. That's been a good track for me in the past, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, but anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
I want to thank, first of all my teammates in Forza Esports for working so well together all night tonight, and I want to congratulate Marcus again on the win, and also obviously our partners, Bela, which always produces a fast car for us, as fast as Xfinity 10G, and also Kappa Bar.
All right, Alexander, congratulations, bud. We'll see you at Vegas next week.
See ya.
And that will leave now our third place finisher with us here, Jonas Gunnarsson. Jonas, it looked like it was going to be a side-by-side battle for the race win between you and Michael Heflidesen. Unfortunately, it turned out to be a third place finish. What happened in that final that drag race there?
Yeah, Michael gave me a little too hard push in the corner, I think, and I drifted out a little bit, and all of a sudden we were side by side, and the finish line is so what do you say in English?
Quite a ways away.
Yeah. So I knew I had to try and defend, but they were coming too quick, and third place is still quite good.
Yeah, overall a very solid finish. You're the highest finishing Alcantech car in your team-sponsored race tonight. It seemed like you spent a lot of the day just kind of riding around in the pack. Was that by plan, or was it difficult to try to get into the right line to try to make a move?
No, that was the plan. Just try and stay relaxed and wait for the last 5 laps.
Well,
and try to be in the leader pack and don't crash. That was just a tactic.
Well, you certainly did that, and we'll head now into the playoffs. You didn't have a win this season. This is your 5th third-place finish to go along with 2 second-place finishes. You were able to point your way in going into this race, so you had nothing to lose. What are your thoughts going into Las Vegas, where you can really start to get the pedal down and start racing again?
Yeah, this is where the season starts, really. So this is when I start winning races.
Fair enough. Jonas Gunnarsson just puts the rest of the league on notice. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, the whole team, Alcantech and all the guys in there, Niemann Racing, SimLab, and what an amazing season! Winning the season with this team couldn't end better.
All right, bud. Jonas, congratulations. Good luck going into the playoffs starting in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
All right, and that will do it for us here today. Corey, what a race that we saw. Incredible finishes, whether it be for the race win or for a points paying position to get into the playoffs. And it's all going to really start, as Jonas said, the season starts in 2 weeks at Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very entertaining there to see that finish between Marcus Hagman and everybody there. Last lap pass for him and all that.
So a great finish and a great night here at Talladega comes to a close. We'll take a look at the final results here for tonight's race. Marcus Hagman takes his first win of the season. Alexander Arildsson, Jonas Gunnarsson, we just heard from those three on the podium here tonight. Peter Helmbro and Michael Haflidason round out your top five. Daniel Holmer, Andre Solander, Tony Oivinen, Linus Broström, and Jonas Skoglund, your top 10. Martin Liesnik, Connie Lundell, Anton Ehrman, Kim Nyholm, Jonas Forsch, your top 15. Jesper Eriksson, Dennis Scherp, Anton Bratberg, Eric Lundberg, and Oscar Fredriksson rounding out the top 20. And congratulations, Anton Bratberg, by finishing where he did. He makes the final spot in the playoffs. Robert Eriksson makes the playoffs as well, rounding out the final drivers on the lead lap. Philip Broberg, Bjorn Broström, Haflidy Johansson, and Philip Bjork in the top 25. Emily Fegrell, Robert Erling, Jochen Wett, Henrik Lindoff, and Marcus Stiller, your top 30. Johan Larsson, Philip Carlin, Eric Blix, Vilda Whalen, Michael Hagstrom, Sebastian Broberg, Dan Solo, and Stefan Wong rounding out your finishers here in tonight's race. We'll take a look really quick at the sprint race results here. The top 8, the 18 drivers led by Jesper Eriksson taking the win. So a fun night here at Talladega comes to a close for the Svenska eRacingligan. We will be back next week with the Svenska eRacingligan LMP2 series. They will be running a 2-hour race at Sebring to close out the first half of their season. And then once again, back to playoff racing in 2 weeks' time at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The final 5 races of the Cup Series Season 5 will begin in 2 weeks' time. So for my broadcaster, Cody Boudinois, my name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. We will see you next week for the LMP2 series from Sebring. Good night, everybody.